Don't have a gavel, but the time is 7 o'clock. I call the Recreation Commission meeting of Wednesday, November 3rd to order of the year 2021. Thank you for joining. And the roll call vote. Robert Plaza here, present. Michael Bannon.
Here.
Sarah Coates.
Here.
Roy Edmonds.
Present.
James.
Here.
Larry.
Hello.
Michael.
Here.
And
Can you hear me?
Yes. Those are the members of the commission present. Also wish to mention Chad is present and Chris Delmage. Well, that's the roll call. I do wish to indicate to those that have joined that Ms. Reed was not reelected or not elected to mayor yesterday evening. And so she is out of office and at this point cannot officially be our representative from the city council. And since there has been no city council meeting so far between then and now, Ms. Hodges, who was elected mayor, along with council members now Caulfield, Gallagher, and Wiener. So we've had basically a complete change of people for those three seats on city council.
So we have no rep tonight from council? Okay.
That's correct.
But fortunately, both Chris and Chad take excellent notes, and I'm sure whoever Michelle appoints will be able to join in and get those notes and be an adequate representative. Plus, I can even be on that council meeting in case some question comes up.
And can I ask you who is taking who? Oh, no, geez, as soon as I want to say her name, I can't think of it. She's a regular member of our committee, our commission.
Ms. Reed?
Stacy, and she's here now.
Oh, she is here?
Yep. Stacy just joined.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, good. All right.
You're muted, Stacy.
Keep smiling, Stacy, but unmute yourself.
But what I would like to do, I'd like to add an item in the agenda, and that's after the roll call, but before the approval of the September 1st, 2021 minutes, is to thank Laurie Reed for her service to the Recreation Commission. She was a very good representative. She represented all of the topics and agenda very well at the city council, and I thank her for her service.
Chad, excuse me, Bob. Chad, Marty McMillan is texting and asking if you can send him the link to the Zoom. He's having a hard time getting in at the meeting.
I did just email it to him.
That's what happened to me. Normally there's a link, but there wasn't a link this time. You had to like plug it in manually, and it took me a minute to figure that out. So sorry.
Yeah. That's we switched up who's setting it up, so we haven't got that link yet. But the next time we'll have it ready for you guys.
So do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of September 1st, 2021?
Motion?
Do I hear support? Any changes, corrections, modifications? James?
No, none for me.
Okay, anybody else? All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any not in favor, say nay. Hearing no nays, the minutes are approved unanimously. Now, the next item is public comment for agenda items. Does anybody have their hand up for that public comment?
No hands are up.
Going once? Going twice? Hearing none, moving on to the next item is the Windmill Point Park presentation. And Chad, take it away.
You got it. First, we'll start off with Lunch with Santa. After doing that virtually last year, that actually was a pretty successful event. We had quite a few families sign up for that. It went really well. We're going to try and bring it back in-house again and have it in person. We're hopefully going to go, 2019, we did 2 sessions and crammed a few more people together rather than spreading it out longer and having 3 separate time slots. We're going to go back to the 3 time slots though. Our goal is to probably limit the number of families and hopefully be able to set up the Tompkins Center to that where we have pretty much 1 family at each table. So there's enough distance for families to feel comfortable seeing where we're at, around December 4th. So far, we haven't had any concerns with anybody asking about it, that they wouldn't want to participate with it. And we'll do our best to keep everyone safe, and anyone that's uncomfortable, obviously, won't sign up this year, but I think we can, successfully have that event in person again. And I've spoke with Santa and Mrs. Claus, and they both feel comfortable, with Santa showing up for the event. So I think we're going to be good to go on that. And again, we're going to do our best to keep people as separated at their own tables as we can. If it's a larger family, we'll give them a rectangle table or something like that to be able to keep them all together still, because we do have a lot of grandparents and things that come to that event. So we're looking forward to bringing that back. We've also got some park projects that we're looking at. One of those is the sun deck, which is that slab you see right off the Lavin Center that kind of overlooks the pool. We've got some crumbling and some leaks and things going on with that item. So we have some quotes coming in to repair those, fix the leaks that we have going into the pool pump room, and kind of reseal and surface that sun deck. The other item is we have a retaining wall, I guess you can kind of say on the back side of the Lavin Center, near the gymnasium. If you've walked through the park, there's a small gate that you can enter through and follow the sidewalk along there. That wall, due to or kind of poor downspout setup and things like that, drains right into that landscaping and retaining wall. And over the years of all the water that's been gathering in there, it's starting to really make that wall lean over, and we have concerns that we want to address that and have some new things done there, put in some new downspouts, run some stuff underneath ground and come back up the sidewalk on the other side to keep that water from building up and eroding away there and causing us any more issues. So we're going to have to look at some type of gutter systems on the building. Up with it being a taller building and having a flat roof. Some of the areas out there are actually just openings at the top where the water just falls out. And if you didn't have anything around there, or like you have your pool deck, the concrete pad and stuff there, you don't notice it quite as much. But in an area like that, where you have a retaining wall and landscaping and things, you see everything eroding away more and more. So we're getting quotes on that. Typically we get 3 quotes for everything. I like to be more on the safe side. I usually get 4 or 5 quotes just because I like to see how everybody's stuff matches up and what they recommend and their pricing, just to see if everybody really is in the same ballpark, or why they're so different than another one. The other big item is the actual roof on the Lavins Activity Center. We're starting to get some decent leaks into the gymnasium. We're also due up before too long of a total resurfacing of the gymnasium floor. And with the current leaks that we have, it'd be pretty pointless to do a total resurface work on the gymnasium floor if we've got leaks coming in from the roof. So we've already had, I believe, 1 contractor out for the roof. He believes that we can do just some repairs on it for right now that will get us by for a while. But I do believe probably within the next couple of years, we're going to have to address that and probably put a new roof on that building. And then we can look into redoing the gym floor. We may recoat it one more time, but we're not going to do the total resurfacing until we have that issue resolved.
Chad, on the sun deck, a few years ago, we had talked with Mary Beth about the bikes that were in the gym and whether we could ever use the whole gym at once. And one of the ideas that she had floated was, in a perfect world, we could enclose and reclaim that sun deck area so we could have more space there on the second floor. Is that something you considered or looked at all, or is that not part of what you're talking about?
It's not what I was talking about, but we have looked into it a little bit. We haven't gotten too serious about it yet, or at least that I'm not aware of. There was talks about it right before Dale Kraniak retired, so he may have worked up maybe some drawings or things like that. I'd have to touch base again and see if we have those at City Hall. It was just some ideas we were floating out there. I know part of the problem is if we kept it at the level that it was at right now, we would probably have to install an elevator there as well, just for ADA purposes of being able to get to that space because it's at a lower level. And I don't know if we can go with the 2 sets of staircases that we have right now. I think that was our issue. And if we were to build that area up, I don't know if the support that we have there already would handle that. And if we could tie into the building and where the roof meets right now very easily or cost effectively. So we'll probably have to look at that. We can definitely look at that, but I think that's going to be something that would be some donors involved to make a project like that happen, and if it made sense to do it. For the time being, at least, you know, I don't want to say put a Band-Aid on it, but our hopes were to install some drains, cut through that surface right now, put a couple of drains that tie into the pool drain already, and then resurface it and fix any leaks or issues with the concrete that's coming apart or crumbling right now. They feel confident they can repair and fix all of that. Again, something that would probably get us by for another 3 to 5 years, maybe longer. But if you're looking at a big project and replacing all of that, you're probably, I'm guessing, just with some of the concrete guys that have been out and looking at what's there, just to tear it out and put something similar to it, they were talking it could probably be over 200 grand to do that. So we're looking more at, you know, probably 20 to 25,000 to repair what's there, which is probably more so in the budget at this time to deal with.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Anything else on Windmill?
Chad, it's Roy. How old is that building? It's not that old.
The addition, I believe, and Chris will probably know better, I think was 2003. If I remember, was that right, Chris, when they did the renovations to that?
Yeah, the Lavin Center was built in 2003.
Yeah, but the part that we're dealing with, that sun deck area, is actually from the original building.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
they didn't remodel that part when they did the other project.
Yeah, okay, that rings a bell. All right.
So
I remember that.
was 2003 when they added the theater?
Yep.
Okay.
The first theater,
Yes.
the Okalski Theater.
Well, the entire building of the Lavin's Activity Center, actually.
Yes.
Right.
In the gymnasium, fitness center.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to the Lavin's Activity Center. I just wanted to touch base on the movie theaters. We're doing really well in the Scott Theater. The films have been solid. The Okolski, we're not bad. We're not great yet, but it is a much larger theater. And some of those movies that we've gotten to start off with, you know, it's the best of what we've got right now, but it's not the greatest. So we've taken a little hit there, but I think as we keep going, more and more of films that people are, you know, excited to see are going to be coming our way, you know. So I think those numbers will pick up. Right now, we're doing 6 shows a week, and our average per week in the Scott Theater is about 150 to 340 people. So the numbers are good there. Okalski, it's about 100 to 150 or so. Again, it's, you know, a Marvel movie that wasn't super popular compared to some of the other ones. But we're getting better ones coming, you know, every 2 or 3 weeks. And the part of the problem is how long they require us to hold that movie for. So, you know, the Addams Family, it did okay, but they also wanted us to keep it for a certain amount of time. So our hands are kind of tied at that. If it doesn't do real well, we're stuck showing it anyways. So, but I'm happy with it. I think we all feel confident that they're going to be back to where they need to be soon enough. Again, the Scott Theater is, you know, been really close since the Bond movie has been there. they've had quite just a few people away from being sellouts. So if the movie's there, the people will be there as well.
In fact, Chad, in fact, I recall that I was in the Scott Theater, the very first showing, and it was a sellout.
Yeah.
So it has been very popular.
Yep, I would agree. So it's only going to get more that way, especially when Yokalski gets Ghostbusters and some of the other ones that the families are going to want to come and see. So the numbers will pick up for sure on that theater.
Are masks being worn in the theater?
Mary Beth has actually said people have been pretty good about it. It's something that we recommend and have put the signage up for it, but it's not a requirement. So, but she said most people have been pretty good about wearing their masks. It's been surprising to her. And then we'll move on to fall and winter programming. We've got a decent amount of stuff going on. We're going to start another session 1 of our cornhole league, and we've got 28 teams. We maxed out in that, so we've got 14 recreational and 14 competitive. It will be 6 weeks, and we'll end just before Christmas break. So we're looking forward to bringing that one back as well. It's another activity that we can space out and keep people apart. And it's a nice little revenue stream, and utilizes the gym for a couple hours a night after karate. So it works out well for us. We're also looking into our favorite Skyhawks basketball program. We've never really run a basketball program at the gymnasium. And we just finished up our Skyhawks soccer program over at Patterson. We had 9 kids for the Tiny Tots, which was the 3 to 5 year old, and the parent participation. And then we had 11 kids for the mini Skyhawks. So they were quite thrilled with the number of kids that we had registered. Their minimum for every program is about 5 kids. So more than doubled what their expectation was. And their max, I think, was maybe 12 or 14. So we were pretty close to that. And I'd been looking for something basketball related. So I reached out to them as well. And they for sure have a basketball program, and we have a full-size gymnasium. So I thought, why not give that a go? I'm going to follow up their soccer season with kind of a survey to all the families that participated to see what their thoughts were on the program and the instructor before we make anything official, just to get a follow-up. Did they like the instructor? Did they feel like their kids took something away from the program? So just some general questions. Would you participate again or recommend it to another family? And then maybe open up the basketball program, which again, that will be a great opportunity for us. We'd be looking at Sunday mornings. They say have the same thing. They have a Tiny Tots basketball, which will be 3 to 5. Again, parent participation. They bring in smaller hoops. And they have a smaller number of that. I want to say maybe 8 to 10 they'll do for that one. And then they have beginner basketball, which goes from 6 to 8, and they'll lower our hoops down to 8 feet. And same thing, about 10 or 12 kids. We can run those at the same time. So we have that nice blue divider in the gymnasium, and our little bit older group will be on one side. The younger group will be on the other side. So it could be as easy as mom or dad bringing 2 of them down there. One goes over the other side that's a little bit older with the one instructor. The other one is with the younger child. They can spend their 45 minutes getting their class in and then head back home together. So it might be a nice feature if there's some older siblings that are interested and they haven't gotten into a program already. And then our third class is just basketball, which will be for 8 to 11 year olds. So that's when both instructors will come together, lift the divider up, put the hoops back up, and then do assessment the first week on all the kids. And that's pretty much an open number. So they can pretty much handle at that age as many kids that want to sign up. So again, another way to utilize our facility that we have and take advantage of it. And it doesn't cost us a whole lot of money, and it's easy to have the program, and we're not searching for an instructor that we may not be able to find at this time because they're able to provide one that's local for us. So we're looking forward to that possibility.
Question, Chad.
Yes,
So
sir.
the 3 to 5 year olds have totally different hoops setups. They've got little ones, I take it?
Yeah, more like kind of closer to style of like a Fisher Price type hoop or something like that. Something smaller that the coaches will bring in. We might even be able to store it in our back closet for them.
Do we own those, or do they bring them?
They bring them. They'll supply it for us. Yep, they give them everything. So
Okay. And the other age groups all work with the full size stuff, but it can be lowered.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I was just envisioning 3 to 5 year olds with the
Yeah.
basketball. I was gonna say, how in the heck are they gonna do that?
Put them on your shoulders. So.
Yeah,
But yeah, yep, they bring a couple of portable hoops and it'll all work out. It should work out really well. So they did push this Sunday. I was a bit nervous. I'm not sure how Sunday morning. I think we'll still be okay. But they did like the fact that they have a lot more instructors available on Sunday mornings. So it would be nice to try it out that way. So we're gonna see how it goes. It's probably a good possibility we could switch to Saturday mornings if we need to. But we will have some other programs going on Saturday morning, so I'll have to kind of get creative with that as well, because I don't want to take away from another program that we're going to offer if we can't go a different day. Pickleball, indoor pickleball will be coming
Chad,
back.
one more
Yeah.
thing on basketball. So we're going, and it's actually funny that I mentioned the bikes earlier. We're going to be able to use both sides of the gym for the basketball program.
Yes, yep, we'll be able to use both.
That's great. Does that mean that both sides of the gym will be available for other activities, for renting the gym, et cetera, going forward?
Yep, we're gonna have different. You can either do a half court rental still, or you'll now be able to do a full court rental.
And are we still going to have the spin bikes in there, or the spin bikes moved?
The spin bikes will not be in there.
Great.
Hey, Chad, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Your program ran September 21st through October 19th. How did the baseball fundamentals, how did that go? What kind of numbers? did you
They were in the same one. So they did part of it soccer and part baseball. So I'm going to be getting the follow up. They had to postpone it a couple of times due to the weather and things like that. So they actually just finished up last night. So that's where I'm going to get a follow up. The older group did half soccer and half baseball. They fit both of those in there while they were doing it. So I'll have to get a follow up from everyone. That'll be part of my survey that I find out of how they liked the entire program for that age group. So I'll let you know as soon as I find something out.
All right, thank you.
Yep. And like I had mentioned, indoor pickleball will be back. I believe it's going to start November 14th, if I remember the constant contact that just went out. They'll have drop-in times like they have in the past. All of that was on there again. I'd have to look at the days again, but I feel like it was maybe Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturday, Sundays. And we're also going to do indoor tennis lessons. I'm sorry, pickleball lessons. We had another popular outdoor session of pickleball lessons, and we had a few more people stopping and asking Patrick about how they could sign up for it or when there would be another session of it. So we discussed it with Mary Beth. And we've got some time slots during the week and also on the weekend for those who aren't available during mornings during the week. So we're going to see how that goes as well. And again, it's another thing where even if we get 4, that'll be great to utilize the court. So we're good. Patrick's looking forward to it. We're even, and that's Patrick Cardinelli. He does all of our pickleball lessons and tournaments. We're trying to see if there's also a way that we can potentially start a Tuesday night pickleball league. So we're kind of trying to work on the details of figuring out how we can handle handicaps, or if it would be singles or doubles, and what would make sense for a season. So I think we can probably pull something off. He's excited to see what he can figure out. I think, again, that would be something that would get a lot of interest, and just like some of our other leagues, run it 6 to 8 weeks, kind of a round robin type league. And I think a lot of people would have fun with it. So we're hoping we can pull that one off as well.
Chad, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I must leave. Thank you, and have a good meeting.
Yes, thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thank you, Roy.
Bye,
Hi,
guys.
Roy.
Bye.
And then just our last activity that's going on in the Lavin Center right now is Rocksteady Boxing. And I think it's probably at its peak right now. Every session of that, we're getting about 14 to 17 people. We're almost hitting the max of what the instructors can handle. I was just in there today and they had a nice group there. So again, that's another one. It's a really great class. I'm glad we're able to offer it because there's not a lot in the area that are. So it's another thing that we can kind of specialize in and promote that we're running. So we're trying to do our best to stay as busy as we can and offer as many programs utilizing that building as we can. So I'm happy with what we're doing right now.
I've forgotten, is that for both boys and girls?
Yeah, that's the Parkinson's for individuals dealing with Parkinson's. It's all based on motor skills and things like that. So yeah, there are male and females in that program, but the numbers have been great for it, and the instructors have been doing a nice job with it. So the interest just keeps growing, which is nice.
Okay, great.
We'll move on to Marina, Chris, if you don't mind taking over for just a couple minutes.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that the deposits for the 2022 season were due on Monday, November 1st. So I still have a stack of at least 50 of them sitting on my desk that I'm trying to get through. So that's going to take a little bit. Unfortunately, we're kind of in the in-between stages of going to the end of the year to the off season of different things that I need to look in the marina and assess to see what we want to do as far as projects. We might have to do some projects based on the high water levels. Obviously, they were down this year, but they're still not down enough where we can actually see the piers completely. So there's a lot of stuff that's kind of up in the air right now because deposits were just due a couple days ago. And speaking of which, I didn't have it on there, but we're still trying to come up with a marina subcommittee date right now. Just discussing a few dates. There's a lot of meetings coming up here. So we're trying to find the best date, and a lot of people going on vacation between Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up. So we're just trying to find a date. With that being said, with all the deposits being due, that will obviously determine how many wells I have open, how many I can turn around, and how many people can come off the wait list. So it's all part of a bigger scheme right now that's kind of just starting of trying to do all the deposits. So long process, takes a little bit of time, probably won't finish till mid or late November as far as those deposits.
2 questions, Chris.
Yep.
First, did you get my email about my absence starting on November 17th?
Yes, and I responded to it by asking about a couple of different dates for you.
Oh, really?
Yep, the couple of dates that I asked you about, I can't remember them off the top of my head, is because we have a lot of meetings coming up on our normal dates, and a lot of I was looking at different dates around there and before you leave, and there's just not a lot of great dates. I think maybe one of them was the 15th, of Monday, but I'm not 100% sure.
15th at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And we might look at Larry, if you are available for that one. I think I briefly discussed with Chris too, maybe I think it was December 8th, might be a Monday or Tuesday. That'd be about just, I think maybe a week or so after you get back.
Yeah.
It would.
Okay, well, that would work. I couldn't do the 15th. I'm supposed to be hosting a foreign visitor from Germany at the Rolling Stones concert, so can't do the 15th.
Chad, we can't do the 8th. We already have a meeting on that day.
Do we? Okay, we'll look at a couple of days
Oh.
we'll look at something just after your return and see if we can. We'll give you a list of dates and see if something like that works. We'll be able to get something in now.
Okay,
There
the other question I had was, how long, or do you know how long the waiting list is now?
About 300 people.
300. Wow. So that's a good healthy amount that's increased versus the last time I checked on it, I think.
Yeah, we were probably about 260 at the beginning of the year. It's not uncommon for it to jump up to 300, and there are people on there who have very small boats that will probably be a good turnover for Pier 1 as usual, but Pier 1 was pretty much sold out this year. So they're kind of waiting, and I already know we're going to get a lot of turnover on Pier 1. So a lot of those people will get a chance to put their boat in the marina.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Chris,
thank you.
just out of curiosity, sorry, Larry, Chris, just out of curiosity, what's the total number of wells we have?
270.
Okay. Thank you. Did I cut you off, Larry?
No, I'm done.
All right. Well, that brings me to, I wanted to rehash the Wi-Fi. Last time we had a meeting, I talked about potentially looking at some new Wi-Fi for the marina, amongst other things. And the only update that I really have, because everything kind of got pushed back quite a bit, was there is now a commercial company involved that does this and has worked with the city of Grosse Pointe to install like Wi-Fi throughout their marina. That's a little bit more commercial grade rather than residential, kind of like what we have is the in between. That meeting was held yesterday over a phone call. And after talking to them, basically, if we want to go to the next step, they have to do a site survey, which will cost money based on square footage. So I'm not sure if we're there yet. I'd rather see what happens in January and February as far as what we have to do inside the marina and repairs and stuff like that before we go down the route of potentially spending some money on a site survey. Not saying that couldn't be done quickly. So I thought even if it was done February, March, or April, that's still enough time. If we wanted to do something in the marina, we could still do it. But IT Right, our IT company, just doesn't handle that kind of stuff as far as outdoor commercial grade stuff. So I just wanted to touch base on that one as well.
It would be good to get a description of what going to the next level would do for us too, so that we could consider that,
Yeah,
based
I
on
mean,
what
I
kind of
can
pricing.
comment on that. I know a little bit about it. Basically, what would happen is we have access points throughout the marina right now, and it would be more access points basically, so it'd be better coverage, and we upped our speeds like we talked about, so it would be a lot faster. So if someone wanted to watch a movie, it would be a lot easier for a person to watch a movie on their boat, let's say. That's just an example of how much better it could be using that upgraded system. So, and they're designed for more outdoor, more abuse, and most likely last a little bit longer as well.
I think Stacy had her hand up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I did. It was about the number of slips in the marina. So when we do the overview for the subcommittee, will we be talking about wave runners and jet skis?
We can talk about it. Yeah, I can put it on the agenda.
I'd love to know.
We have talked about it in the past, and there's no reason why I know there's a lot of interest in that, so the subcommittee is looking at that.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, that again, I don't want to say no or anything ahead of time. My big concern was with the status of our marina and putting jet skis in the marina, how safe it is, because we don't have lifts. So I'm not saying no, but I would think that we might have to look at lifts, and if that's what we want to do in the marina, if that's something that we could reuse, maybe. But if it's something that'd be short term, depending on what the future of the marina holds, might determine if we want to do jet skis now or if something new is built.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It has to make sense long term if we're gonna do it now.
Chris, what's the cost of a well for next year for a season?
It depends on size, but it can range from anywhere from, let's just say, roughly 850 for some of the small ones to just a little bit over $3,000.
And is there any cost increase coming in
There was
2022?
There was a 5% increase.
Okay. And I think last time we talked about the Wi-Fi was looking at maybe like a $25,000 fee for that, right? It's what the cost, not for the site visit, but to actually do the upgrade. Do you know if that's going to change with this commercial?
The 25,000 is roughly what I think, or what I was assuming it would be if we basically had replaced what we already have. And that was just a rough estimate of what I thought it was going to be. As far as if we were to go this more commercial route, I'm guessing that number would jump up considerably. And I don't know if that marina is ready to handle that kind of cost, whereas maybe it would make more sense to do kind of like what we have already, but a newer system. Maybe a newer system with more access points might be the smarter decision. So that's what I kind of want to determine in these next couple weeks is, does it make sense to go more commercial, spend all this money, do it now, or try to get us through these next, let's say 5-7 years like it did last time, get something that's a little bit better than what we have now, and then move on to a commercial grade stuff. Maybe if we do decide that a new marina is in the future for the city of Grosse Pointe Park, maybe then is the time that we spend that kind of money.
And I believe, Kristen, is our current equipment about 8 or 9 years old right now?
Going on to the 8th year, I believe.
And usually after what, about 2 years, it's old, considered old.
Usually, to be honest, it's a couple months, but yes, access points or Wi-Fi like that is usually around 3 years. Sometimes they said if you get super lucky, it's 5. So,
But again, it's got to make sense long-term, whatever we're going to do in there, depending on what changes we make to the marina, if it makes sense to do something like that as well. So I think that's a good idea to wait and see what it brings next year, the beginning of next year.
we still got to see what the high water has done to the marina as far as maybe lifting up piers or something like that, or at least the low ones that have been suffering from the high water. So even though water was down for this year compared to the last 2 years, it's still really high up compared to what we normally deal with. We hardly saw underneath those piers.
Yeah, and
We haven't looked at Wi-Fi extenders for the marina, have we?
Not extenders, because the access points are better than the extenders. They're how do I explain it? They are access points are basically extenders, but they work a lot better.
Sounds like they're pretty much the same thing. Yeah, okay.
That's pretty much it for the marina right now. Like I said, we're kind of caught in between seasons right now. Still have a few boats in the marina who are diehards who are going to be leaving in the next, hopefully, week. It's supposed to jump up in temperature, so I'm hoping that that's when they're going to remove their boats, because they have till November 15th.
It gets
That
pretty
also-
choppy this time of year.
it does.
Yeah, and it's nice and cold, high breezes, so I hope that they dress warmly.
And I just wanted to go back real quick. I meant to say when I first started talking about it, but I also wanted to thank O'Flaherty's, as they are sponsoring the Cornhole League this year. So they are paying for some of the cost and also purchasing all the t-shirts for everybody in the league this year. So it's a significant cost that they're taking on in order to not, promote their business a little bit, but they are local, and hopefully they'll get some business back from the individuals that participate in our event. So it cuts cost on our end. And it's a nice partnership. So I wanted to thank Russell at O'Flaherty's for that. And we can move on to Patterson Park. We'll start off with the dog park. As you all know, we are currently and temporarily closed right now until Monday the 8th. Just like with any probably project or new amenity you get, there's some growing pains. We had discussed before the project really got going that the grass and things like that could be an issue. They became a bit more of an issue faster than we thought, but that was a good reason why. I mean, due to the popularity and just like pickleballers or things like that, you have diehards. So it doesn't matter what the weather's like, they're going to be there. And I've witnessed it on some days that you wouldn't think anybody would be there. And the gate guards would even call me up and say, I just had 3 people come to the dog park and it's downpouring right now, but there are people that really enjoy that park and they love it. And it's been great for them and their pets. So even if it's a little bit of rain or something like that, they're coming in their boots and their umbrellas and their dogs are loving it. And we've got some that haven't missed a day. So I apologize for the streak we've ended for a few of our everyday visitors. But I think we've got the issues corrected. Backers put down some sod, some seed. We're going to fence off just a little bit of area until that really takes. And they've also added some additional drainage and some drainage where the drain is for the actual drinking fountain. The plus about that is a drinking fountain has now been winterized, so you won't have to worry about the leak down there. It won't be a problem anymore anyways, but they've also winterized that for the rest of the year. So I think we're going to be good to go on Monday. We do have to consider, and it was put out that depending on how visitors are and what kind of weather conditions we encounter, we may have to have some temporary closures for a day or two, depending on just how much rain and things like that we get. It's not something we want to do. We're going to try not to, but if it's for the best interest in keeping the grounds quality the way we want them to be, we might have to close a day or two here and there, just depending on what we get weather-wise. So I hope everybody knows that and can understand. And we're still exploring some other things. So I'm in pretty regular contact with Backer about things that we can do and things we need to look at. So, Bob, you might have your hand raised.
Yes. Basically, a couple of days after the dog park opened, I walked into I walked into 3 Mile Park and heard a couple of dogs really barking at each other. And so I walked over to where the park was, and it turns out there were 2 dogs in the back of the Grand Marais backyard that were barking, trying to join the 3 dogs that were playfully playing in the dog park.
Yep, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
So I just thought I'd throw that in. That's an actuality that happened. And yes, there was barking, but it was the dogs in the Grand Marais backyard.
Yeah. And I've received I think maybe one or two emails about the noise from the park, but honestly, for the majority and talking to the gate guards, I check in with them pretty much daily on it. And they really haven't heard any complaints. I mean, most people on their way in or out of that park are going to let the gate staff know exactly what they think or what they encountered or things like that. And there really hasn't been that negativity from anybody, regarding that park. So I've been really happy with everything. I know, again, it's unfortunate we had to close like we did, but I think we've got a solution and we're going to be okay. And we'll reopen on Monday the 8th and we'll be back to enjoying that park again.
Yeah, there's been very, very few issues that I've known about. And I've asked the gate guards when I go in there, any issues? And really, excuse me, excuse me, not only is my throat giving me trouble, my computer just simply made a click and just shut off. And that was my new HP computer. Now I'm switched back to the old faithful Dell. And I have no monetary remuneration from any company of any laptop computer.
But you do own shares in Dell, right?
No, I do not.
Okay. The reason I had my hand up, Chad, was I think it would behoove us that when we do have these temporary closings, that we let the public know why we're doing that it has to do with maintaining the turf and everything. It took so long and it was such a challenge to get this dog park launched that when I first heard about it closing, I thought, oh, what nefarious reason is that all about now? So, I think everyone will understand if you say, look, the turf hasn't had a chance to really, get rooted there. We don't want it to become just a mud pit. And so we're going to close it down temporarily to avoid that. And I think that'll put a lot of minds at ease.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I have talked with Chris over at the farms and same kind of thing. They run into the same problem. Those people will come in, the dogs will dig a hole or it'll get muddy, but then they're also the same individual that calls back and complains about it being muddy. They just haven't gone to the length of, closing the park for a day or two or something like that. And I kind of discussed that with him and he thought it would be a good idea that we do something like that. And with starting new like this, we can, they're a significant amount of years into their park and to start closing theirs, I don't know what kind of kickback they would get, but if we start off with having to do it, it wouldn't be all that often. But again, I've talked to some of the members on here, fencing some areas off, things like that. If it makes sense, we can probably utilize some areas of just, hey, this is a little bit rough. We're going to kind of just temporarily close this section off. We can easily do that without it being a huge impact on the park. So I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think your park gets a lot more use than the farms.
I would agree with that.
You have literally hundreds of people who are going.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to touch on is we've currently sold 277 fobs and we have 329 dogs registered for the park. So I expect us to easily be over 300 for the year next year. I think we'll be probably 350 with ease. So
you have any idea what the average daily attendance in terms of dogs might be?
I'll get an update on that. I can't get it. Point Alarm tracks that for us. So all I have to do is just give them the days and they'll be able to give me the number of hits basically on that magnetic locking system to see how many fobs have swiped through it on the day. So I can definitely get those numbers and then give us kind of a daily breakdown of what we see in the peak times and things like that. I'll try to have that for the next meeting for
Yeah,
everyone.
it'd be interesting to hear that.
Yeah, it'll be good to see that then. And then I'll do probably a recap at the end of next year too, so we can really see it at a full year of what parts of the year, what times of the day and things like that to help us out too with it. Next item is leaf removal. There hasn't been much yet. If you guys haven't noticed, the colors are still pretty and they're all still in the trees. So we will be working hard on that. Again, we're a little bit limited with staff, so it might take us a little bit longer than usual. Hopefully we can get everything up, before the snow comes. The only problem that might bring a little bit will be with the conversion of the pond to the ice rink during the ice making process and the jet ice and things like that. If we're getting too many leaves falling and things like that in there, it could be a little bit of an issue for the rink. So we're hoping it doesn't become one, but it's also one of those things that out of nowhere, it can kind of just become the temperatures that you need and everything might be dropping at the same time. And that's kind of how we contact our contractor who does the ice for us and starts the systems up and stuff. It's got to be at a certain temperature. So it might be a week or two where it's 50s and all of a sudden, boom, it's going to drop down and it might be high 20s and then we're good to go. So it's kind of on short notice that we get a hold of him and get over there and then coordinate our gentleman that does the jet ice. So it's all really quick in a short amount of time. And the guys have to come back in the evening because that's the best time once the sun goes down and it's cold enough to keep adding to the ice. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that the leaves won't become an issue, and we're hoping to be open right around Thanksgiving or so. So that's usually our goal, is always to be open right around Thanksgiving. So that's still the plan as of now. That's what we covered with the ice rink. We're also going to have ice skating lessons back in this year. We're also going to add Saturdays for that. So we usually do Tuesdays, 4:30 to 5 and 5 to 5:30. But we are going to do Saturday mornings now as well. So those, again, who can't get to a 4:30 or 5 time slot, you've now got Saturday mornings to be able to do that. So we thought that would be a nice addition for those families that can't do it. And we think we'll get our snowplow beginners for the real young ones are always packed anyway. So adding a few more time slots or days for that, I think we're just going to have that many more kids that participate. That's what we were hoping for. So we've got some great instructors.
I was just going to ask about instructors. Do you have enough instructors for the additional lessons?
Yep, we still have Sharon and Christine who have always done it, and then we've got about 2 or 3 additional instructors that have either done it in the past or they've worked with at other facilities. So we should be covered. They've all worked with those age groups and know what they're doing. They're all experienced. I'm guessing probably 20 years plus for each one of them. So it won't be anything for them. Again, something we can add. The weekends will be nice. Right after the guys get done with the ice, it's not real busy yet. The kids and their parents can be down there. They'll get it done. Then they still have their whole Saturday and the rest of their weekend to do whatever they'd like if they can't get on the time slots during the weekday. So we're good to go with that. We'll probably cut back. The only thing I think we're going to cut back a little bit on is probably our concession sales in the lodge. I think we're probably going to just do, food and drinks and stuff probably on Friday through Sunday. There wasn't a lot of nights during the week that it really justified having someone in there selling that product. We might, if the demand's there, or maybe just in the beginning. But there was just a lot of nights that we had, a staff member in there trying to sell stuff, and they might have sold $5 in hot chocolates, which is nice, but probably not worth the 4 or 5 hours that they were in there. So I think
it makes sense to have somebody there during like kids break time.
Yeah, we always pretty much have them there all day. It's another set of eyes to keep an eye on them, but also be able to sell, because if they're down there for hours on end, they're either going to order a pizza or buy some chips or a hot chocolate or something from us. So those are always good days for us. But during the rest of the year or the season, we probably will cut back on the weeknight. We do have cameras and stuff to monitor, so it's not like they're basically a free for all doing what they want. We'll still have our rink supervisors and things like that, but just cutting back a little bit on the presence inside the building there.
What is the age range that you start lessons at? What is the age group?
3.
3.
We'll move on to gardening. We're starting to get heavy into the holiday decorating now. We're going to be getting ready to do the tree out in front of the Lavin Center. It just flew in from the Arbor Pro, brought it in with their big crane and lifted it up over the gatehouse and the fencing there and stuff. It was kind of funny to see a Christmas tree flying through the air, but it's a beautiful tree. It was donated by some residents that it was too close to their house and potentially going to be an issue for them down the road. So they offered it up to us. And we also, I believe the Arbor Pro who installed it for us was free of charge. And I'm also going to find out, I'll do a post. There's another company that's going to decorate it for us, basically to show their holiday decorating and things that they can do like that for us. So we get both of those free of charge, which is super helpful for Corinna. She only has one staff member helping her right now. So to cut out days decorating that tree and being able to focus on Kercheval and Mac and Charlevoix and the parks, that's a really helpful to our department. So we appreciate it. We will send a thank you to both those companies, probably post something on Facebook and send a message out and get a nice picture of the tree once it's lit. But yeah, she's going to a challenge she's facing right now is, I'm sure most of you have seen with just about anything, the supplies she needs for the holiday decorating might be a little bit delayed with either the problem of them getting the product to get to us or the fact that they don't have enough staff to put together some of the things that she needs to decorate the streets. So we're hoping we get enough to get most of it done, or at least to get started and going, and can kind of do it in phases as it comes in. But we're not quite sure yet how delayed, if any delay it will be. So staffing is part of it and getting the material. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that it won't become a serious issue. Anything on that? Are we good to move on?
We're good.
Good. Okay. We'll go on to old business. I just wanted to touch on Halloween in the park. Another phenomenal year. We sold 595 tickets. I think the best that we've done since I've been here was right around, I think 630 or 639 tickets, maybe right around there, 620, right in there was our largest one. But I think that year it was maybe like 70 or 68 degrees too. It was one of the first ones I did. So it was a beautiful day for a Halloween in the park event. We did the 2 trails again that led into the single trail right at the tail end. Grosse Pointe South Balloon Club was there. They were twisting up the balloons for the kids left and right. We had donuts from, was it 3 Cedars in Northville? They're delicious donuts. We are going to go back and purchase enough donuts next year so that all the adults can have them. Some of them snuck in and got some this time, but we're going to make sure we have enough next year for everybody that goes through to get one. We'll probably, hopefully next year, be able to go back to one longer trail with some other activities at the end, the haunted house and the gymnasium. We just felt with kind of where we were still currently at it just made sense to be a little bit more on the safer side of things and keep it the 2 smaller trails a little more spread out, and kind of split up the masses, to different trails and different times. We probably would have even been better going closer to probably 45 minutes or an hour between the groups, as they did get backed up a little bit down Windmill. So we'll probably look at that, but if next year isn't really an issue, we'll probably be okay with how we used to kind of do it with the haunted house, having some things indoors and out, and just maybe one longer trail. I think some people really enjoyed the shorter trails because they got through it fast. They still got the same amount of candy and stuff like that. But I think some of the other people missed being able to walk through 39, 40 stations, and really go through the entire park. So we'll look those over. We'll probably meet in the middle of summer and kind of review it and see where we're at with things. And but it's one of our best, if not the best, family events that we have for attendance. So it was great. The staff did a great job. Again, Corinne and her single staff member pretty much laid out that whole course in a few days. And that's, I want to say, right around 400 or 500, 475 or 500 bales of straw. So 2 people making 2 trails with that many was a lot of work. I know they were pretty tired at the end of it. And then even maintenance and some gate staff and Chris and a couple others went out there and were able to help finish with decorations and things like that the last day or two. So it really is a group effort with the front desk, selling the tickets and making sure everybody's informed, and the gate guards get them to the right parking lots, and maintenance, patrolling the areas, and really the volunteers as well. I mean, you're talking about, probably, what do we have, Chris? Probably right around 100 and something volunteers on the day if you counted everybody with the balloon twisting and multiple people at stations. So it's a community effort. It's great. It's really one of the most fun events we have. So thank you to everyone for that.
Question, what do you guys do with all those bales?
Well, we have this year we started selling some of them. So we sell them at a discounted price, and we've actually done fairly decent in sales for what it is, either, for them to put up to Thanksgiving or for Halloween at their own house. So there's a little bit there that we do. There are a couple of organizations, some community gardens and things like that get them. And then we take the rest over to Patterson. We block off the trees in the bottom of the sledding hill and areas to protect the chipping, putting greens, things like that. So we put them to use. I've got some ideas for next year. Maybe doing some different areas, whether it's focused or themed on like witches, into pirates, into pumpkin and alleys and things like that. So maybe we can cut back a little bit on our orders of straw bales and fill with something different. We've got a lot of great decorations and inflatables and things like that, but we've also got a lot that have been there for a long time. And, some of the scarecrows are looking a little rough these days, and the pumpkins have been a little bit dinged up over the years of getting tossed back in the bag and thrown in storage. So I've got some ideas I'll discuss with the crew and see how they feel about it. Not much more work we want to add for ourselves, but yeah, we're looking good.
That big inflatable dinosaur, I was very impressed with that, especially when we were kind of talking to him, and I noticed that his rear legs looked like they were dragging, and I said, oh, he must have that dysplasia problem with his hips or something. And he heard me and he started moving, and next thing I know, he turns around, he just charges right at me and my family.
He's impressive.
It was kind of scary at first because he's a great big, dinosaur.
Absolutely. He's a crowd favorite. He's definitely a crowd favorite.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he was at one of the turns last year, and unfortunately the kids loved him so much that whole side of the trail kind of got backed up because nobody wanted to leave his station. They just kept wanting to watch him. So we figured we had to put him somewhere else where it was kind of an easier turn for other people to keep going around. So yeah, they love him, and as long as we can keep getting him back, he'll be a big part of the event because everybody enjoys him and he gives a good laugh.
Yeah, he did a great job.
New business. I just wanted to touch base a little bit on Chili Fest. I think our initial thoughts are probably to keep it back in the business districts like we did last year. I think that went over really well. It definitely helped promote some of the businesses and brought some more business in during which everybody knows a really difficult time. And again, was able to keep people spread out, still have fun and do things safely. We're not out of the woods yet. So I think that might just become something we do every year now. It's really nice having them at the parks and the things we can do with having a gymnasium in the Tompkins Center and our own ice rink. But I think it does bring more community engagement, having it out on those streets and involved with the businesses there, and kind of bringing people from all over. Again, another way to show off what we do and have people from around the area come and visit it. Might be just another reason if they visit 4 or 5 times that they get an after 6 and a Charlevoix street party, and with Chili Fest and the school systems and the homes, why not move here? It's a beautiful place and fun place to be. So let's show it off some more. I'm thinking we'll probably do something again in February. I've got to talk with staff. I don't know if we want to go January or not. We'll kind of look and see what some of the other events are going on in the area and see if we're competing with anything else. But it was kind of nice doing it when we did. Now, again, it was 50 degrees and there wasn't really any snow, and it was nice to be out there, but we can manage with snow as well. It could be a bit challenging depending on how much, how many DPW workers and staff we have available to kind of keep shoveling, snow blowing so people can get around everywhere. But yeah, I think we're going to stick with that for at least one more year and see how it goes. You never know what the weather is going to bring. So that's kind of the factor. At the parks, you can work with it because smaller area to keep clean for people to walk and things like that, or you can go indoors and sample chili or be in the Lavin Center and get a back massage or down at the inflatable. So there's some pros and cons to both options. But the other item I was looking at is a date night, which would be, we've done some things in the past with like the movie theaters and things like that, but we do a daddy-daughter dance with all the Grosse Points as South. But I don't think we've ever really focused on anything that is like mother and son or grandmother and son or older sister. It would be open to any of those kind of options, but do maybe like a superhero date night. So we do a couple of different time slots on the night, utilize the Tompkins Center for some food and maybe some arcade games, and then go over to Lavin Center and you'd have some bounce houses and a DJ and dancing and photo ops and things like that, and best costume prizes, things like that. So I think we could have a lot of fun with it. I haven't talked to too much of the staff about it yet. I've mentioned it a few times. So again, we'll see what all the excitement is for another Friday or Saturday night of getting to work. But I think it would be something fun, especially if the schools aren't doing anything where we can have the daddy-daughter dance. We could make it maybe 2 nights, and it could be a daddy-daughter one night and a mother-son the other night, open it up, something like that, a Friday and a Saturday night. So just something we're looking into. I think it could be fun, and we could get a lot of sponsorships with it. And if we have a year where we don't have the daddy-daughter dance, this could be a nice substitution for it. So
I think it's a great
Chair?
idea, both those things. I mean, I think if there's a way to make it sort of gender neutral, because
Yep.
girls like Marvel, and just make
Yeah.
it, date nights. If you've got 2 different themes, super. But I mean, certainly I know kids who would want to go to any of them.
yeah,
And
yeah, but
not
that was
just
kind of my
moms
thoughts.
or, like you were saying, grandparents, caregivers, anybody, right? Okay.
Exactly. Yep. As long as they had a responsible olderish adult with them that's responsible for them, that's all we'd be looking for. So yeah, it could be even superheroes and princesses or something like that. It could be a mix on the night. Just come dressed up, have some fun, eat some pizza, play some games, dance a little bit. It could be a good time. I think there would be a lot of interest with sponsorships to help out with those costs. I'm also part of an organization, the Northeast Recreation and Parks Association. And so they'll usually give you about $500 if you can come up with a new event and program and stuff like that. So I could apply for that one as well, help with some of the costs that way. So I've been thinking about it for a little while. I think we could probably pull it off and have some fun. So.
Our
other than
next
that, I
item
think-
on the agenda is public comment on non-agenda items.
There are no hands raised.
Well, actually, I have a public comment I can make. I'd like to thank Max Wiener for joining us and the Recreation Commission as an observer. And Max was fortunate enough to gain a seat on the city council last night. And so I wish to congratulate him publicly and welcome him in looking at what we do in the Recreation Commission. Thank you, Max.
Thank you
Max.
kindly.
All right. No hands raised still, Chris?
No hands raised.
Okay.
Well, the last item on the agenda is the adjournment and the next meeting date to be determined. We have a new mayor and 3 new city council people. So that there may be some times that we have to coordinate differently, but I was looking through some old rosters of the Recreation Commission members. And the first thing I saw at the very top of one of the rosters was meets every month. And we haven't done that for a long time. And
It's
now.
been a long
and
time,
then-
Bob.
Right. And so, things have really gone very well in the parks and the decorations in the business spaces. I think Chad and Chris and his staff do an excellent job. I've received, when I was doing some door knocking for some candidates, I received many fine comments regarding the dog park, regarding the decorations like on Kirchville, the Kirchville on 6 event, the Charlevoix. And really, people were very, very complimentary about, wow, we really have a very capable Parks and Rec department. And thank you, Chad, Chris, and all of to your staff for all that you do in making the park a great place to live.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amen.
Agree.
Our next meeting will be in a few months. We'll see you then. Happy New Year. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone.
Thanks.
Take care.
Everybody, good night.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.